Okay, welcome back, everybody. Let's dive straight into this Insider's Playbook. Today, we are mastering the Cambridge IT 9626 syllabus, specifically targeting a topic that terrifies a lot of people. Topic 19.1, Apply Envelope and Perspective. Now, I want you to think of this explainer like we are pulling off a heist. Think Ocean's 11. But instead of robbing a high-stakes casino vault, we are assembling a specialized team of cognitive experts to pull off the absolute perfect answer heist and secure that A-star grade that you deserve. We are going to look incredibly closely at the syllabus code 9626 today. And to pull off this heist successfully, we really need to understand the underlying mechanics of the vault itself. Topic 19.1 is notoriously tricky. It's all about manipulating vector graphics using envelope and perspective tools. But here's the thing, and you have to hear me on this. It is not just about clicking buttons in your software. The examiner doesn't care if you just know where the button is. It's about explaining the technical process and evaluating the outcomes of those tools. So grab your notes, gear up, and get ready, because we are about to completely crack the code on exactly how top-tier students structure their perfect exam answers. Look at this slide. What's really interesting here is this direct quote from an actual Cambridge senior examiner. It reveals exactly how unbelievably high the stakes are for this specific topic. The difference between a B and an A star comes down to how well you understand 19.1. You see, this is the exact threshold where average students completely fall apart under pressure. To show you what I mean, let's introduce two hypothetical students on our heist crew who represent the most common pitfalls we see every single year. First up, we have Alex. Now, Alex overloads his answers with raw computer science facts. He knows the textbook inside and out. If you ask him a question about the envelope tool, he'll give you a massive, rigid dictionary definition of vector nodes and Bezier curves. But he provides absolutely zero analysis. He completely misses the why behind the tool's use. Then, on the other end of the spectrum, we have Sam. We all know a Sam. Sam is the speedster. He's always looking at the clock. He rushes through the paper. He completely misses the command word requirements, and he just throws down vague bullet points that don't actually answer the prompt. If you take a look at their mock exam papers side by side, it is just a sea of red pen marks. The examiner is literally begging them to analyze the situation, and they are either just reciting textbook definitions like Alex or rushing through without formatting like Sam. We need a much better strategy if we are going to grab those maximum marks. So how do we fix this? We are going to demystify this entire topic by breaking our strategy down into 4 distinct phases today. Phase 1, the core principles. Phase 2, the exact step-by-step procedural framework. Phase 3, the evaluation and critical analysis criteria. And finally, Phase 4, the top examiner warnings, those hidden trapdoors that catch most students out. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Core Principles. Let's start with the foundational, theoretical architecture you absolutely need to understand before you even think about touching an exam paper. Look at this definition on screen. The crucial takeaway here is that mastering these vector tools isn't just about rote memorization, it's about logical, structured reasoning. It's about understanding causal relationships. When a Cambridge exam question asks you to explain how the perspective tool was used to modify an image, it is explicitly testing your conceptual understanding. So, let's break that down. The perspective tool creates an illusion of depth. It manipulates a 2D object by moving its nodes along a mathematical vanishing point to simulate a 3D environment. That's the core concept. The envelope tool, on the other hand, does something entirely different. It distorts a graphic by applying a bounding box, which is literally the envelope, and shifting its nodes to make the text or image fit a specific, often curved or regular shape. To actually get the marks for knowing this, we need a reliable framework to explain it to the examiner. This is exactly where we introduce our secret weapon, the PEAL framework. That stands for Point, Evidence, Explanation, Link. Top-tier students use the PEAL framework to do code command words effortlessly. Your point identifies the specific tool used. Your evidence points directly to the specific part of the graphic in the exam paper. Your explanation details the exact node manipulation taking place. And finally, your link ties the whole thing right back to the client's original brief.
And this slide right here brilliantly illustrates the stark difference between average candidates and the top 1%. On the left side, we have Alex's approach, which we call superficial breadth. He just lists tool names. He writes down, I use the envelope tool to make the text wavy. Guess what? 0 marks. It's too vague. On the right side, we have what the assessment framework heavily prioritizes: analytical depth. This means providing precise definitions and establishing clear causal relationships. A top-tier analytical answer looks exactly like this. The envelope tool was applied to the vector text to manipulate its bounding box, shifting the upper control nodes to conform to the curved path of the logo design, thereby meeting the client's requirement for a dynamic layout. Boom. Just listen to the difference there. You've transferred the theoretical concept to the unfamiliar context. You've shown exactly what the tool does mechanically, and most importantly, you've explained why it matters contextually to the client. Now, before we continue and dive into the exact procedural framework to guarantee you write like this every time, subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.
Moving right along to Section 2, the procedural framework. This is the transformation phase, guys. This is where we take Sam and Alex's red pen marks and turn them into glorious green check marks. You must memorize the standardized 5-step sequence. Step 1, deconstruct. Step 2, extract. Step 3, select. Step 4, execute. Step 5, present. This is your absolute blueprint for extracting data from texts and tables successfully. So let's do a live rewrite scenario right now with our crew. Imagine you open the exam paper and the question says, evaluate the use of perspective tools versus envelope tools for creating the 3D product mockup. Okay, step 1, deconstruct the question. What is the command word? It's evaluate. The moment you see evaluate, your brain should immediately know that means we need pros, cons, and a highly supported conclusion. If you just describe the tools, you fail the question. Step 2, extract the relevant data. What exactly are we making in this scenario? We are making a 3D product mockup. That is our context. Step 3, select the analytical framework. We are going to use the Peel framework we just learned for both tools. Step 4, execute with clear notation. Instead of just lazily listing features, we write, the perspective tool is advantageous for the 3D mockup because it mathematically aligns vector nodes to a vanishing point, ensuring highly realistic architectural depth. However, the envelope tool, you see where we are going with this? And finally, step 5, present with correct terminology. Under no circumstances should you ever write, I stretched the picture. You are an IT specialist, you write, I manipulated the Bezier curves within the bounding box. By strictly following these 5 steps, you guarantee that your mark potential shoots straight up from a 0 to 100%. Now, by rigorously following that 5-step sequence, you leverage something incredible called the method mark strategy. This means you actively secure vital marks for your procedural working even if your final result or conclusion isn't 100% perfect. This is a massive secret in Cambridge IT 9626. The examiners use a rubric that explicitly rewards your thought process. Let me say that again. Process is greater than the final answer. If you clearly document on the page how you intended to adjust the perspective grid or exactly how you isolated the specific nodes for an envelope distortion, you get points for the method. If you just write down the final intended outcome without explaining the software steps you took to get there, you are literally leaving easy marks on the table. Always write out the sequence of your actions. Now, speaking of securing your success, stop scrolling, subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. All right, let's keep this momentum going. Section 3, Evaluation and Critical Analysis. Now we step into the true territory of the highest scoring students. This is the A-star zone. Top scoring candidates consistently demonstrate evaluative thinking by identifying limitations, questioning assumptions, and looking very closely at how alternative interpretations affect their final conclusions. Let's do a quick data scan challenge right now. Imagine you're looking at a complex exam table comparing rendering times and node counts for envelope edits versus perspective edits. You've got 60 seconds on the clock. What is the core trend you need to extract? The core trend is almost always that envelope edits require far more manual individual node adjustment, which significantly increases production time. Perspective edits conversely use global mathematical grids, making them vastly faster for rigid geometric shapes. Okay, let's try another interactive challenge. I call this Find the Flaw. Listen very carefully to the sample paragraph a student wrote and tell me where they lose the mark. I use the perspective tool to bend the text around the circular logo because it makes it look 3D. Did you catch the fatal flaw? The perspective tool creates depth along a linear grid to a vanishing point. It absolutely does not bend text around a circular path. That is the exact specific purpose of the envelope tool. The examiner commentary on a response like this is brutal. You lose major marks for incorrect tool application and vague terminology. You must always justify your decisions with accurate technical evidence. When you are doing comparative analysis in 19.1, examiners demand a very specific structure. They demand that you identify similarities and differences, use specific comparative connectives, and draw evidence-based conclusions about relative importance. Imagine you have a 30-second timer to quickly draft a Peel paragraph comparing the two tools based on the matrix you see on the screen. Your point is the core difference, your evidence is how they differently handle nodes, your explanation absolutely must use comparative connectives, words like whereas, conversely, or on the other hand. So a perfect speed-written paragraph might look like this. Both tools distort vector shapes, but whereas the perspective tool limits distortion to simulating depth via a linear vanishing point, the envelope tool offers freeform distortion via an adjustable bounding box. Consequently, the envelope tool is superior for organic shapes, while perspective is essential for architectural mockups. That, right there, is exactly what an A-star comparative element looks like. Let's pivot to our final crucial phase. Section 4, Top Examiner Warnings. We've completely decoded the command words, and we've applied the Peel frameworks. Now we just need to make sure we don't fall through the trapdoors right at the finish line. You might actually be surprised to learn that where most students lose easily avoidable marks on 19.1 usually isn't a complete lack of software knowledge. It's almost always a failure in presentation and a failure to address the context. It is incredibly frustrating for Cambridge examiners to read an exam paper where the student clearly knows how to use the vector software, but completely fails to articulate it professionally on the page. Remember, the Cambridge IT exam isn't just testing if you can use the software, it's testing if you can communicate complex technical concepts like a professional systems architect. So, the crucial point here is to avoid these 3 fatal errors. Never be vague, always double-check your formatting, and ensure your answers are firmly rooted in the specific scenario provided. Let's break them down. Mistake number 1, vague answers. Writing something like, I changed the shape, instead of, I manipulated the corner nodes of the envelope bounding box. The first one gets 0 marks, the second one gets the point. Mistake number 2, forgetting to check format and presentation. If the question specifically asks for a formal report format and you write a casual, unstructured essay with no headings, you immediately lose presentation marks, no matter how good your technology is. Mistake number 3, answers not specific to the context. This is huge. If the exam scenario is about creating a logo for a small local bakery and your explanation of the perspective tool talks about rendering a massive high-rise corporate building, you aren't applying the tool to the context given. Always tie your technical explanation directly back to the client's specific needs in the brief. And this slide brilliantly illustrates our ultimate takeaway for today's heist. Show you're working. Show it clearly with appropriate notation, because method marks are the safety net that can absolutely save your grade when the pressure is on. If you are asked to describe the process of applying an envelope distortion, you need to list out the exact menu pathways. You need to list the exact keyboard shortcuts or tool selections. You need to describe the precise sequence of clicks and drags. Treat the examiner like an absolute beginner who has to follow your written instructions to perfectly replicate the graphic on their own screen. That meticulous level of detail is exactly what unlocks the highest possible grade boundaries. So there you have it, the complete system. The 3 rules that guarantee top marks. Decode the command word, flawlessly apply the Peel framework, and manage your time so you don't end up rushing like Sam and missing those vital method marks. Mastering envelope and perspective tools isn't just about software proficiency, it's about proving to the examiner that you can think critically and analytically. So the next time you sit down in that exam hall with a blank paper, ask yourself, are you just vaguely describing what you see, or are you proving exactly how and why it was built? Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries, but only if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to @acetheexams_IGSE and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're facing. Our team responds to every comment. Like and share this video with a study partner. Ace the Exams. Your Cambridge success starts here.